do something you're very passionate about. And
You
don't try to chase.
So there's a lot of startup advice out there, but a lot of it is focused on VC-backed founders. And when you don't have a big investors or you don't have a big budget, how are you supposed to make it work? Well, I've been bootstrapping for the last couple of months, and today I'm going to share 3 guiding principles that really changed the game for me. So without further ado, let's get started. Principle number 1, use community to 2x your learning. As a bootstrap founder, you can't afford to make every single mistake in the playbook yourself. Every mistake costs you 2 precious things: money and time, both of which you have in very limited supply. So by learning from others' experiences, you can take this steeper path to success. You're essentially borrowing other people's time and lessons learned. If you're solving a problem that's already been solved before, why reinvent the wheel? That's where community comes in. Join forums, Discord servers, local communities, but here's the thing, don't just lurk. Actually engage in it, share actively, talk about the stuff that you're going through, and people will resonate and will try to help you most likely. And I really recommend even looking at paid communities, especially when you can get one-on-one mentoring or coaching, because that's going to really help you have an objective perspective on the work that you're doing. And especially if it's someone who's been there before, they can help guide you on the right path. So for example, if you're stuck on pricing for your product, instead of trying a bunch of different things, go to those communities where people are actually already talking about these things and have tried a bunch of different lessons, and learn from them and essentially imitate, copy, steal whatever you need, but you're essentially learning from them. And by regularly engaging in these communities, you're also growing your network. These connections can lead to partnerships, referrals, new customers. You never know what can happen. And pro tip, start your own mastermind group. Get 3 or 4 other people that you really trust and that you know are doing the same things that you are and are trying to learn, and learn from each other. That way, the one person makes a mistake, they then go and teach the group, and the group becomes collectively smarter. And so essentially you 4x'd your learnings. I've had calls with a friend of mine who's running a community every single day, and I really recommend it. It's called earlystagefounders.co, and he's helped me so much come up with different marketing strategies, learn from my mistakes, and yeah, it's been super useful. So I guess what I'm really trying to say with this is, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Principle number 2, think of coding as the most expensive tool in your toolkit. Whether you're a technical founder or not, every hour spent coding is an hour not spent on marketing, sales, or talking to users. And here's why that matters. As a bootstrap founder, you're wearing all the hats. You're the CTO, CMO, CFO, everything. Your time is the most valuable asset. So let's break it down. You spend 100 hours building a new feature. That's 100 hours you're not spending on understanding your market, talking to potential customers, defining your value proposition, building partnerships, marketing and getting the word out. And worst of all, you might have actually spent 100 hours coding something that actually nobody wants. The hardest part in actually building a product is not the engineering side or even the marketing side. It's actually building something that people actually want. I've been there, and trust me, it's painful. So before you write a single line of code, exhaust every no-code or low-code option if you must. Try to delay as much as possible the building of the app. Don't worry about building a prototype. Actually just make a landing page and see if you can drive enough signups there, because most of the time you'll struggle even doing that. So there's no point in building the actual product if you can't even get signups to your app. And when you do code, use every shortcut possible. Open source projects, AI coding assistants, pre-built templates. When I built Paper Talks, my previous project, I found the entire code for a Spotify competitor already built out for me that was open source. And all I had to do was take that and then tweak the right things to then make it an AI generating tool. But generally speaking, boilerplates and templates probably exist for the idea that you have. And one last thing, if you're not technical, please don't let that stop you. Partner with someone who is technical and who can build the product eventually, but who also understands that in the short term, there's no point in spending months building a product if you can't have a market for it. So to summarize, coding should be the last thing you do after you've exhausted every single other option beforehand, and the last thing that's left to possibly do is to actually code up the app or a prototype. But otherwise, you have a lot of steps you have to consider before you even start writing the first line of code. And the final and third guiding principle is fail forwards by making content. Every setback, every challenge, every lesson learned is content gold. Don't hide your failures, actually showcase them. And here's why it's crucial for every bootstrap founder. First of all, it's free marketing when you're bootstrapping. People will come and see you talk about your failures and they'll probably go and visit your app. There are a million apps out there that are completely faceless and no one knows who's behind them. But if people know who you are and they resonate with you, they're more likely to use your applications. By sharing your journey, you're building genuine connections with potential customers. And one of the things that's really helped me think about this is that if my product fails, at least I will have grown. A lot of bootstrap founders end up writing a bunch of code and making products that no one ends up using it, and then they end up being stored on the shelf somewhere. No one even hears about them. But this way, even if your project doesn't end up working out, you've now maybe gotten 100, 200, 1,000 maybe new followers on Twitter, YouTube, you name it. And that way you're taking that new community that you've built and you're taking it with you on over to your next project. Whereas if you don't do any marketing, if you don't talk about it at all, if you don't share that content, then you'll look back a year from now and you'll be like, well, I still have the same audience as I had a year ago because I didn't build any content around it. Or if you've built your content around for that specific product, let's say it's an app that you've built and now you've created a community around it, but then you decide that you don't want to build that app anymore, that audience only knows the app, it doesn't know you. And so when you're building your next project, you still have to go through the whole process of like acquiring customers for that. Whereas if you're building your own personal brand that's related to the SaaS product that you're building, then that way you're creating value in a way that transcends the app and actually follows you throughout the whole entire journey. Just to give you an example, by posting the videos online just like this one, I've actually gotten people reach out to me coming up with different startup ideas. They want to work with me. Even if my previous video was about me failing, people still know that you're trying and they want to work with you and they see a potential vision for someone like that. So it can really change your life. So just to reiterate, leverage community to double your learnings, treat coding as your most expensive resource, and fail forwards by creating content. If you implement these things, you'll have a massive advantage over founders still doing things the old way. If you found this helpful, smash the like button and subscribe for more startup tips. Oh, and some of you have been asking what my next project is. Well, I guess you'll just have to keep watching.
Maybe you just need to go back to the ocean.